publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the entire United States of America. And of course, good morning to the world receiving our signals via the magic of the internet, formerly known as ARPANET. Folks, we are going to have a great show for you today. And we are going to take back our electronic resources or electronic communication resources that we created, but now being monopolized by you know whom? The plutocrats, the billionaires, the oligarchs. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great show for you today. Before we get started, let's go to the genius, the geniuses in the studio. Good morning, Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba.
And good morning, Egberto. It is Thursday, the 23rd of January, 2025. And here we are in 2025. And we're back live in the studio. We managed to get back in this morning. Jack made the perilous journey through all the snow leopards and all the.
Oh, there was one wreck. There was one wipeout on. I saw one wipeout right ahead.
Whoa! So there was
kinda
black ice.
Yeah, I've got that big flyover from 610 to 59, and I'm kind of sweating it. You know, it's like, okay, well, we'll just be careful along this way. And other folks were going about 20 miles an hour on that thing too, so we were okay. Back in the studio, back and ready to go here. Jack, do you have any wisdom today?
Well, I didn't have time for wisdom, but I tell you what, I'll just give you a Jackism. The right means to rule, not govern.
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't even watch the show on Monday. I could not bring myself to watch that. I cannot stand that man.
Well, I walked in on a glimpse of it. It just looked like he was just standing there and everything was going on around him. So not very interesting.
I heard that he didn't put his hand on the Bible. Well, probably because he would have burst into flames.
You know, that shocked me. By the way, guys, I watched it so you guys didn't have to. Okay, so you can ask me anything about it, but you know, I'll take the pain of having to have seen that. But look, it was difficult. You're so right, Howard. It was difficult, and all I kept on thinking about is all the good people around the country having to see this and saying, "You mean we have to go through this again for 4 more years? We've got to," and then just the continuity of lies and lies, Howard, Jack. I mean, I sat down there and I'm like, oh my God, this is what it used to be. And here we're going to have to refute this one at a time again.
I know. The fact checkers are going to be, earning that over time. Believe me. I'm still can't believe this is going on. Plus those executive orders. You can't change the Constitution with an executive order. What in the hell's wrong with him?
Well,
Doesn't
he got
think about what he's doing.
Yeah, he knows.
No, never mind. He doesn't.
Hey, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, Howard. This guy got immunity for anything he does while he's president. So he's going to try to push every limit, every button that he can, because he knows, according to the Supreme Court, he's immune. But
not necessarily. They did say he does enjoy some immunity.
Yeah.
And they sent it to the lower court to find out what the immunity is, which is stupid because they already know that.
Yeah.
So they were just passing the buck. He does enjoy some immunity as president, but not a whole lot. And I think he's going to find out pretty quickly that he is not immune to a lot of things, and there's a lot of things he can't do. So
my fear, though, is that once they've said that, and since you know who put half of the folks out there, even though he put 3, there are a couple more that was put by the Heritage Foundation. Madre mia, I think it's something to be to be concerned about, if you will, to be concerned about.
Well, batten down the hatches. And there's also the midterms. And somewhere along the way, he's going to get impeached again by his own party because they're
We'll
going to wise
see.
up and go, oh, wait a minute. Hold the phone here. You can't do that.
Are you ready for President Vance?
No, I'm not. Well, see, the thing about if President Vance, if he gets the position in the office once they remove Trump, the old guard will run over him.
Oh
He's an
yeah,
inexperienced politician, so he won't be able to get anything done. There'll be, he's going to be a frog in a blender because he doesn't know what
he's
he's doing.
he's not Trump, right?
No,
He doesn't have the MAGA base.
he's not
Trump is
strong enough.
right. Trump is their god, So if you get to the god, who knows what happens? But anyway, you guys, you know what today is? Today is Aquino Day. El Señor Neil Aquino, the founder of the Houston Democracy Project, and he has a big announcement to make about how long one of his major projects have been going. Buenos días, el señor Aquino. ¿Cómo estás? How are you doing, my brother?
Good morning, studio, Berto, global, local, global audience, streaming on the air, in your car. And we're appreciative that you're listening, and I'm appreciative to be here on for the Thursday morning Houston Democracy segment. So it's good to be here. The snow, the cold weather. I'm still not used to the cold weather. I felt like I was outfitting for a spacewalk. Having to put on a sweatshirt and a coat and a hat and mittens. I'm done with that routine. I hope, although it's another cold day.
Yeah, it's a cold day, but you know what, man? I'm going to tell you, for the first few hours of the snow, I was out there playing in the snow like a kid. It was
Oh
like,
yeah.
wow, this is snow. And
Yeah, I enjoyed the. I did enjoy the snow, and I enjoyed the snow, and I don't mind the cold for a few days, but appreciate the segue into an announcement. I'm a co-organizer along with my colleagues of the John Cornyn Houston office protest. The John Cornyn Houston office protest, and our 8-year anniversary is next Tuesday, 11:30 to 1 at 5300 Memorial Drive. So we have been there for 8 years, standing outside of Senator Cornyn's office each Tuesday. Thankfully, when we started, nobody knew it was an 8-year commitment because nobody would have come. And the importance of the Cornyn protest, we're there 11:30 to 1. We have extra signs, extra flags for everyone. If you'd like to join us, people still do join us out of the blue, which I think shows the health of the operation when you can get a new person after 8 years. And it started as there were a number of protests at different Senate offices. You could click a button at moveon.org. A man named Brett Sullivan clicked that button, and we're still there. And it started, we got a lot of people about Obamacare and all that. But it's important that people see other people like themselves willing to protest. That Trump has legitimized political violence in his favor with the pardon of the January 6 traitors. And so you could reasonably believe that political violence on behalf of Trump will not be punished. So it's essential that people see others like themselves willing to stand openly and confidently for democracy. We get about 10 to 15 folks each week, sometimes a little more. Someday that'll be 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. And we're there every Tuesday, 11:30 to 1, 5300 Memorial Drive. And actually, we are there later today for our 415th week. We were snow delayed. So if you're driving past 5300 Memorial Drive, please join us. We're there 11:30 to 1. And then we'll be back out for Tuesday, our 416th week. And we have a significant following on social media. It's a very busy corner, the corner of Memorial and Dietering. People know to look for us, our friends and foes. And the reactions are always 10 to 1 positive. They are always 10 to 1 positive. So please join us. And it's essential that people just like you and I are seen out there confidently, because we can't be pushed off the street by the aggression of the right.
Let me just add to that. First of all, Neil, that is a great work for 8 years that you guys have been doing at this. A lot of people are going to say 8 years and the guy is still senator. Let me just express one important thing. 8 years and he's been senator, yes, but he also knows that he has a select group of people actually watching everything that he's done. And don't think that he is, of our two senators, one of the reasons he's a bit more moderate, and I say that with a quote in between, than the other one is that these guys are out there. Neil Aquino and his bunch are out there making it known that we are watching you. So you can't go back. You know what? Crazy. Great work, Neil. Keep it up,
Thank
Neil.
you.
Before I want to give a shout out to the former president of the Houston Peace and Justice Center had a slight accident on the ice, and he's
Oh,
recovering well in the hospital.
oh
Bill
boy.
Crozier, you go get better, and you kick some. You know what, Bill? He's been a very good president of the Houston Peace and Justice Center. I also want to give a shout out to Sophia Moreau, who is the new president of the Houston Peace and Justice Center, bringing new things to the chapter. So I want folks to check out hpjc.org, hpjc.org. Send a salute to both Bill to go ahead and say, hey, guy, hurry and get back into the game, as well as congrats to our new president of the Houston Peace and Justice Center. Neil, we there's an issue out there with somebody who was arrested for protesting at
Hmm.
the Houston Independent School Board meeting. Why don't you set the story for us?
Right. So this is the next. Actually, this is a little bit connected to the Cornyn protest in a way, the same theme. So Sarah Terrell, who's been a guest on this program, um, is an HISD activist, and Sarah is a grandmother, though, and an accountant by trade. She's retired, but Sarah frequently attends HISD board meetings. So that's the usurper board, the
Hmm.
unelected, undemocratic board. So they don't care that they lost the bond. The public rejected the bond, 60-40 almost, but they're just going on about their business. So Sarah attended a meeting. They were 5.5 hours into this meeting. Okay, they were 5.5 hours into this meeting, and the board president said something or another about selling off some properties. Sarah said, "Why don't you sell Hattie Mae while you're at it?" She blurted that out. And so the Hattie Mae White building is the main administration building of HISD. There was a brief exchange, went back and forth 2 or 3 times, and Sarah was ejected, and that led within a minute. This all took a minute, so there was no de-escalation practice. She was dragged out. And there's a picture. You can go to HoustonDemocracyProject.com. There's a blog. She's dragged out. She's dragged out, and she was charged. Now it's unbelievable. So the January 6th traders are running free. They beat the hell out of cops. They stomped on cops. They tried to overturn an election. They're okay. They're running free, and we've had all these attacks on democracy. And so I've been campaigning all week, as have others, to email the district attorney, Sean Tier. And this isn't about the district attorney, although I wish his office hadn't made the charge. He didn't make the charge. At community engagement at dao.hctx.net. And you can go to the page of, if you don't get, you go to harriscountydA.com, harriscountydA.com, and it's the community engagement page. That's where the address is, community engagement at dao.hctx.net, and ask that the charges be dropped against Sarah. She is going to be in court Friday, and it's essential that we stand up for Sarah, because we were talking earlier when you're talking to the geniuses in the studio about where this is all headed. I don't think Trump's going to get court orders not to do whatever it is, and he's going to disobey that court order. This is headed to the street. We saw that in South Korea a few weeks ago. We saw the essential. We need to have the back of people who have our backs. I can tell you, Sarah was arrested. Yes, it's the unelected board. But this is the most diverse city in America. This is a Democratic city. This is a Democratic county. This pro-democracy advocate, this citizen advocate, was dragged out and arrested in a Democratic city, charged by a Democratic district attorney's office. And we need to be cognizant that when we are on the street, as this advances, that it will be our own side of the aisle sending those police at us. And if we have to have each other's backs. I can tell you at the Cornyn protest, we've had in the 8 years, we calculate about 11 or 1,200 HPD units watching us. And those were sent by Sylvester Turner and John Whitmire. They weren't sent by Greg Abbott and Donald Trump. It is essential that we have each other's backs in these fights. And so contact the district attorney, and please, I'll give the address, the web address later in the program, and maybe we can highlight this again for another minute just for folks who come after 6:30. But we must have each other's backs in this because they are coming after our civil rights. They're coming after everything.
I can't stress that enough. I think if you we can't sit back and let our warriors get arrested by what is constantly becoming more and more an oppressive state, and a state that's really going against our democracy. Remember, that is an unelected board, an unelected board that Sarah stood up to, that Sarah tried to speak to using her free speech rights. And they used a mechanism to get the police officers to drag her out of that room.
Yeah,
That
these are HISD police.
Right.
HISD police.
HISD police. This is completely unacceptable. I watch right here at the Humble ISD where right wingers come and disrupt meetings, where they are shouting and screaming and they are being disruptive. And not once did I see any officer take and drag someone down to jail like what happened to Sarah Terrell at that meeting. I wasn't at the meeting, but I have the pictures, etc. For a warrior that we know is out there standing up for everybody in the Houston Independent School District. She's not sitting on her butt. She doesn't have to do this. She doesn't have to do any of this, but the care that she has and others have, the rights that our students have, the rights that the parents of our students have, she's out there fighting the good fight. So everybody who's a part of this system should call our district attorney, not only write to the district attorney, but call the office. Sean Tier, call the office. Not only call the office, but write, as our brother Aquino has said, community engagement at dao.hctx.net. I repeat, community engagement at dao.hctx.net. And make it known that this was a complete farce. This is a miscarriage of justice. We have our freedoms. We have our free speech. This shouldn't even be accepted by the district attorney's office. Go ahead, my brother.
Let me say, so this is, this is essential. Let me say one brief thing more about the board, and then let me just take it to a larger place. There was just a story that was in the Houston Landing that the board didn't follow correct procedure for $870 million worth of the expenditure. $870 million worth of the expenditure. This board did not follow proper procedure. Mike Miles. This is an unaccountable, unelected, uncaring board. And I'm looking at a story. Daily Beast reports President Trump called for MSNBC cable news network to be shut down. These people aren't joking. Okay. You have seen He believes he has suspended birthright citizenship, which is a constitutional 14th Amendment right
14th
through an
Amendment,
executive
yes.
order.
Hmm.
And everyone keeps saying, oh, the court's going to undo. The court may undo that. Okay. The court may undo that, but they're directing federal agencies not to recognize it. He's not going to obey the court. All you have to do to be right about this stuff is make the worst case scenario. You don't
Exactly.
have to be a soothsayer.
Right.
You don't need a crystal ball. They are not joke. You see how already the pressure that they've applied has inhibited these news agencies. You see already they are coming. This is a tyrant. This is an authoritarian. There have been stories out there that, especially after the shooting, whatever that was in Butler, Pennsylvania, he believes he's anointed. They are not. They are threatening Panama. They want to tell you that Panama and Canada are your enemies. There was a story yesterday about a Department of Homeland Security audit committee was ended, and that eliminates the investigation into a Chinese hacking issue. Elon Musk has extensive ties, commercial ties to China. We have to have each other's backs. We have to know each other. It is going to be rank and file Houstonians and residents of Harris County and all of our listeners everywhere, Montgomery, Brazoria, Galveston, Fort Bend, Louisiana, the globe. It is up to us. And if we don't have the elected officials on both sides, remember, your elected official, there are plenty of good elected Democrats, the good people, some less good, but they navigated these systems. The elected Democrat you voted for, they may well be a good person, but they navigated these systems that brought these authoritarian outcomes. And we're going to have to say that you have to take the same risk we do. So please go to harriscountyda.com, call community engagement page, call,
The
write
district attorney.
the district attorney. Call and write on behalf of Sarah Terrell, Terrell, Terrell. And please just begin to visualize, talk about, conceptualize, write down, think about what is your role going to be going forward. They are coming for everything. They are coming for everything. And there's no reason to believe that they'll be bound by a court decision. And they have a right through the January 6th pardon to commit political violence. They have a
You,
right to commit political violence.
we elect people to serve us. We elect people to serve us. We don't elect people to allow us to break the law or for themselves to break the law. We are not talking about breaking laws. We're talking about upholding our rights.
Right.
That's what we're talking about, upholding our rights. And Sarah Terrell's right must be upheld. She has the right to free speech, and we must have the law must be handled equally across the board. And like I mentioned, I've seen what disruption looked like at board meetings in this Harris County, different school boards in this Harris County. And what Sarah Terrell did was simply speak in a room that was relatively unfilled.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, folks, the district attorney should drop this case. And, folks, we are the community. Again, community engagement at dao.hctx.net or call the district attorney's office. This is your house. This is your county. This is your school board, even as it is usurped right now by radicals dictated from our
And the court date
governor.
is Friday. The court
The
date
court
is
date
Friday.
is Friday. There you go. That's tomorrow.
Yeah, show it. Yeah, I lose track with
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah,
Okay,
I
let's
can't.
go.
Between the nightmare we're living in the snow, I'm living in it. I don't know what day it is.
I have an immigration tape from Jasmine Crockett that I want to play. It's about 9 minutes, but before I play that, I want to bring on Bruce. Bruce, come on in, Bruce.
Good morning, Alberto. I've got three pretty quick things. First, if Trump, it'll go to the Supreme Court. If Trump gets away with striking a line out of the Constitution, then the entire Constitution is at risk.
Mhm.
Freedom of speech, freedom of press, everything. It's
Yes,
very
sir.
dangerous. Second, Bondi, when she saw the pardons and she saw him attack the Constitution, if she had any character at all, she would withdraw her name from the nomination. So it tells me everything you want to know about her character. And third, the Proud Boys call themselves the Proud Boys. They don't call themselves the Proud Men. A man is a male that's grown up and matured into, so they're immature. When I hear the word good old boys, I strike the word good from it and say these are just old boys. Instead of going to the playground, they put costumes on and attack the Capitol and play in war. It's ridiculous. They're immature and they're boys, not men. That's all. Thank you.
Bruce, thank you so
Great.
kindly.
Thank you.
Hey, Neil, I need to play a quick 9 minutes here. This is an important piece that what's going on with immigration. Want to set the
Great.
record straight about myths, etc. So we'll be right back, folks. Listen to this one.
Great.
As we all know, Donald Trump and his white nationalist fascist regime is now going after immigrants, and they intend to round up immigrants to lock them up and to deport them out of the country. Let me first point something out. There are two things to discuss here. One is that Donald Trump is simply using immigrants as yet another cost center, as a grift to make himself a lot of money. But those who are genuinely white nationalists, those who are genuinely fascists, they don't get it. They don't get it. Donald Trump doesn't really want to deport all these folks. Donald Trump doesn't really want to crash the economy real quickly, because deporting all these undocumented workers would do just that. It'll crash the economy. It'll also leave our produce on the ground, and inflation will soar as the people who build our homes, the people who pick up our vegetables, pick our fruits, etc., are no longer there. So what's Donald Trump's real intent? Donald Trump's real intent is to monetize the immigrant. And how he does that? Okay, he goes ahead and he allows his friends to build prisons, to build concentration camps to place these immigrants into. And that's one cost center, because he satisfies some of his friends, his billionaire friends, who will give him kickbacks in some form. So he'll use detention centers as a cost center. The other one that he's going to do is then make sure that farmers and ranchers who depend on these undocumented workers, let them know that, we can look the other way if you give us a little something. It is all within the modus operandi of Donald Trump. If you understand this guy, you understand that he has no intention of deporting 10 million people. He's just going to use the immigrants as cogs, as widgets to monetize himself and his friends. Now, for those who are genuinely concerned because of the lies he's told about immigrants, one of the best communicators in the House laid it out very well. I want you to listen to Jasmine Crockett, and then we'll take it on the other side.
As one of the few people sitting on the dais who actually practice criminal law in the state of Texas, as well as licensed in Arkansas and practice there, as well as federal courts, one of the things that you said earlier, Mr. Beer, really stuck with me, is that there are already laws on the books as it relates to those violent criminals. And I know this because even though I hail from the great city of Dallas, I can tell you that when someone would come in and they were being held in custody for, say, a crime, they also had an ICE hold, okay? And that was for those that had maybe been deported before and had re-entered illegally and things like that. And so no matter what type of city you're in, I do want to be clear, federal law already no matter if it's under the Biden administration or if it's under a Republican administration, we all agree that we want to be safe. And I think that's the first premise that we're losing, because there isn't something that is tatted on my head that says that I'm a Democrat and therefore you illegal bad person, don't come for me. Go for the ones that have the R's on their forehead. Now let me be clear about this as well, because we've talked about crime and we've talked about fentanyl specifically. And this is also something that I have dealt with, unlike some of my other colleagues. And listen, I'm going to be honest, because I actually want to fix problems. And I actually have a really good senator in Texas. And I'm sure y'all can guess which one is the good one. But let me tell you, if we care about fentanyl, I have multiple bills for that. I started on the state level before everybody started talking about it. And I have federal bills that my senior senator has signed on to. So I welcome my colleagues, because I actually want to make sure that my communities are safe. But as we start to talk about crime and statistics, Mr. Beer, I want to play a little game with you. It's called Rhetoric versus Reality. And so I want to ask you, my first question, is this rhetoric or reality? Immigrants commit more crimes than U.S. citizens.
On a per capita basis?
Rhetoric or reality?
Oh, it is rhetoric.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to enter into the record this article, which states that undocumented immigrant offending rate lower than U.S.-born citizen rate. And this is from nij.ojp.gov.
Without objection.
Thank you so much. The next one, immigrants are just living off the federal government and contribute nothing.
That would be rhetoric.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Chair, I would ask unanimous consent to enter study that says undocumented immigrants pay almost $100 billion in taxes. This is from the Alabama Reflector.
Without objection.
Thank you so much. My final rhetoric or reality question is immigrants only enter at the southern border.
Rhetoric.
Okay, right, because they enter all kinds of ways. I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there. In fact, I have a few more questions because I still got a little bit of time, which I usually run out of time. We have talked again about crime, and there's been this overemphasis on it. And honestly, I can tell you that I don't want anyone to be killed, whether it's here or anywhere else. There is nothing about me as the child of a preacher that makes me say that I want people to die, okay? So I feel as if my colleagues from across the aisle have decided that they are going to make immigrants the boogeyman. It's insanity to me, but they also are showing compassion for victims, which they should, but they have no compassion for people that are contributing to making us great in this country. So interestingly enough, I'm curious to know, Mr. Beer, if you know if immigrants contributed to these particular crimes. There was a mass shooting in Buffalo, New York that killed a number of African Americans as they were trying to shop for groceries. Was the defendant an immigrant in that case? Do you know?
No, he was a U.S.-born citizen.
Thank you so much. Charleston, South Carolina, there were Black churchgoers trying to praise the Lord. They were killed. Was that an immigrant that perpetrated that or not?
No, that was a U.S.-born citizen.
Thank you so much. Now, coming home to Texas, there was an El Paso shooting. Do you know if that was an immigrant or not?
No, they were targeting immigrants in that case.
In fact, each of these cases, it was white supremacists. And so the last unanimous consent that I'd asked for is this article that states that white supremacists behind over 80% of extremism related U.S. murders in 2022.
Without objection.
Thank you so much.
So for those who sit back and honestly think that, well, you know, we're not bad people, but undocumented workers are a drain on our society or a negative for society. I think Jasmine, Representative or Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett did a perfect job of dispelling those lies that are put out by Donald Trump and his ilk. But again, I want to circle right back to what I'm saying. Donald Trump's goal is not to really be the deporter in chief. The truth of the matter is Obama already earned that title. what his role is to monetize immigrants. And in doing so, he cares nothing about the pain and suffering and the destruction of families that's going to cost. He has no concern about that. So once you understand that, and once you understand what Representative Jasmine Crockett had to point out, the idea going forward is we should love our immigrants. More importantly, we should have immigration reform that quickly integrate these people into society in such a manner that neither they nor the working class are exploited. Exactly, that neither they or the working class are exploited, because that is what we have right now. Let me tell you, this is a racket getting ready to explode. But hey, by the way, folks, the telephone number now is 281. Hear me, 281 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. I've got two different call-in numbers depending on the time of the show, and I get mixed up. Anyway, Neil, your thoughts?
So I agree with everything said. The Congresswoman mentioned the Alabama Reflector, and I've looked that up, and that looks like it's at alabamareflector.com. It's a nonprofit newsroom in Alabama. They say 465,000 Alabamans signed up for health insurance through the Affordable Care Act, many of them relying on the subsidies. They're going to pull the part of Trump's plan to lower the price of eggs is to kill Obamacare subsidies. So that's a whole, I agree with everything you said, but I want to highlight that source because that's looks like a great alabamareflector.com, looks like a really quality source. And even though I try to keep it local, they're going after these Obamacare subsidies that are sustaining millions of people in healthcare. And just think about it, 465,000 Alabamans are on Obamacare, just in that modestly populated state, and those subsidies are going.
I was about to say that. I'm glad that you pointed out that it's a modestly populated state. It's a small state. Here's a funny thing. The right wing that elected Donald Trump, the people in Mississippi, North Dakota, South Dakota, Louisiana, all these places that are filled with these folks that supported Donald Trump, are the actual people that are going to get hurt. All these are taker states. In other words, all these states, all these red states, they take more out of the government than they give to the government. New York, California, and all these other states, they fill the coffers of the government. Connecticut, they fill the coffers of the government. And then those monies are piped to the red state. The infrastructure bill, most of the money went to red states, right? And when Biden asked, well, look, why did you do that? He said, those are the states in the most need. These red states are governed by charlatanes who simply use the gullibility of their citizenry to be elected, but they're going to feel the pain because when they cut these different programs, who does it affect the most? Not the blue states, the red states. It is mind-boggling that the media, and I don't blame all my red state brothers and sisters because the sources that they use for the media really has corrupted their minds. But again, I blame the mainstream media for not pointing these things out day after day after day after day. Red states, you are more dependent on the government than any other states. Anyway, let's go to Bard, line number 1. And folks, the number is 713-526-5738. Come on in, Bard.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for taking my call. I just want to say that I really enjoyed the inauguration. I think the line that hit home for me was that America's decline is over. It's time to make America great again, and America first again.
All right, let's get to the facts now. Describe now, what you call.
Have you ever heard
no,
of?
I hold on a second. I just when I stop you, sir, stop. Define America's. Define Americans' decline.
America's decline is the last 4 years. America's decline is what you're just talking about. The wide open border, these people coming in, getting gift cards and cell phones and CBP One apps on their phone and free airplane tickets to wherever they want to go.
You remember, hold on a second, Bart. Neil, you remember what I told you about the folks on the right, how misled they are? And they actually believe, Bart is not a bad guy, but he's susceptible to believing the junk that he hears, and he believes it. Now, okay, let's forget about the border for now. What else have the last 4 years do to decline America?
I'm tired of paying for this stuff, and if I'm not paying for it, the government's printing money for it.
What stuff is that, sir? Oh, hold on. What stuff is that, sir, that you're tired of paying for?
One of the things Trump did was he shut down this CBP One app immediately.
Okay, sir, I'm leaving immigration already because you proved that you don't know anything about immigration. So what I'm asking about is, you said that we are in a state of decline. What other thing has Biden done to create a state of decline of America?
Well, who do you think pays for all this stuff?
Sir, we are done with the immigration portion. What else has caused the decline?
When they get here.
That's
Why
not
do they
true.
get welfare?
Sir,
they're not even citizens.
All right, hang up on that, Bart, because he won't answer. Let's go to Patrick. Come on in, Patrick.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
Hey, I'll help Bart out here. I guess on Monday he mentioned gift cards and phones for folks that come here and are in need of help. That app that was turned off yesterday or the day before, that breaks international law. The phone card is a spinoff of what Ronald Reagan, one of the few
exactly
that I agreed with. He understood that when somebody came here, if they had no way of communicating, he would have to build a larger police force because they would be more often victims. If you give them a phone, then they can call the police if they see something or hear something, and it reduces social spending. This is what we try and do. We try to find efficient methods to solve problems. Not the most expensive, not deporting everybody, but trying to set up a support system for them.
Patrick, if I may interrupt you a bit, I want to interrupt you for one reason only. And it goes like this. What you just spoke about was something called critical thinking. In other words, not shooting from the hip, but critically thinking. If we have a way to communicate with all these people, we don't have to have a police force that costs a whole lot more to run. Continue, sir.
What the video that you sat on, what really stood out to me more than anything is that we're trying to tell ourselves that we're going to make America great again. But when you hear a statistic like 80% of domestic violence is from white power groups or white supremacy groups, and then Christian National comes on your TV or on your radio program and says we're going to make things better, I don't really understand how letting all these people out and telling them what they did was right is going to make things better.
It's inconsistent. Again, remember, these people, there are two groups of folks. There are those folks that are simply ill-informed and they believe the crap that they hear on their mainstream media, and our mainstream media doesn't do a good enough job of refuting it. But then you have those that are intrinsically nationalists, white nationalists. To them, it doesn't matter. A goodness, nice, that doesn't matter to them. They just want a male-dominated white nationalist state. That's all they care about. And, that's why this election was surprising to me, that many women didn't see it as well. Continue, my brother.
That pretty much wraps it up. But when 20 to 25% of the people want to get rid of 50% of the population, and they're willing to do whatever it takes, even if it's going to bankrupt us, that's not a good decision.
Critical thinking.
That's all I have to say, and I just want your callers to really think about what we're doing to these people and what it's going to do to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Patrick. I'll see you at 3, my brother.
And the people using that app, we keep hearing about doing it the right way. The people using that app were following the process, right? We kept hearing, we want you to do it the right way. Well, the people using that app were following the process, and you see that they've gotten rid of refugee settlement. They've even cut the folks coming in from Cuba. They're right wing. If you look at these arguments, if you look at what they've done, you look at the totality of what they've done, it's difficult to not reach the conclusion that what they want here is white people. All they want is white people or other persons who are willing to accept white supremacy. You cannot, they are cutting off everyone, Nigerians, Cubans, everyone, including people who followed the rules.
Unfortunately, they forgot how that this country was built by all of us. All of us contributed to building this country. All right, let's go ahead and go to Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hope
Good
everybody had no bike breaks. Are you ever going to answer the question, who had a higher unemployment rate, Obama or Bush? Are you ever going to answer that question?
No, I'm not going to answer that question.
We
Go
answered
ahead.
that question.
Hoover-
We answered that
Hoover has
question
the
last
worst
week.
Okay, wait. I'll leave it to Howard. Go ahead, Howard.
Yeah, we answered that question last week, Brian, just after your call. I looked it up here, and it's Bush had the highest one, and Obama had the lowest one in
No,
comparison.
you are incorrect.
No, I
you
am.
are
I am correct, Brian, and do not argue with me. I had the
Okay.
facts right here in front of me.
Go ahead to the
you
next. No, go to the next subject, Brian, because that one, I'm not going to argue facts with you. Go ahead to the next subject you want to talk about.
No, I want your listeners to look it up. All right. What percentage?
Sir, we're not going to go there again. Our listeners can look it up. That Howard is absolutely correct. Anything else, Brian, that you want to talk about? Decide to move to the next subject or move on.
The next subject, the top 1% taxpayers. How much money do they generate?
They generate
41%.
more. Okay, it is simple. That is a silly, uneducated question. If you have a plutocracy that controls most of the income and has most of the assets, of course they pay most of the taxes because they have accumulated all. I mean, you know what makes a slave mind, my dear brother? A slave mind is one who continues to allow a system that enslaves them and protects it. Sir, if you have a system that accumulates and takes away from everybody else, of course, by percentages, when you start to do the taxes, they are the ones that are responsible and are going to pay the most because they have assets, unearned assets that they're using. How difficult is that to understand, my dear brother?
You're a pretty angry person, aren't you?
Goodbye. Thank you.
Angry.
Goodbye. All right. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, you know what happens is, let me tell you, Neil, what gets me, right? You and I are activists. We've been activists for decades now. And there are some people that we constantly work for. You and I really, and many activists that are out there, we have the privilege many a times to be activists because there are some people that are struggling so damn hard. The most difficult thing is to have those who the system is screwing, and then they come on air like this and tries to defend those that are screwing people. Now, if Brian wants to continue to have an enslaved mind, that's fine. But I won't allow that enslaved mind to continue to have all our working people that are out there busting their butts trying to make it in America somehow fall to somebody that does that. Your thoughts, my dear brother Neil?
It is the oldest story. It is the oldest story in the book, and I don't know how. It's the oldest story in the book, and I won't get in. It's a long story. I won't get into motives. I'm reading a story here in the Chronicle this morning. The new sheriff of Montgomery County, the appropriately named Wesley Doolittle, he says he's going to use extra resources to patrol the border we share with Harris County. The liberals are sending us their criminals. So if you're in Montgomery County and the sheriff doesn't come, that's because he has deployed the units to the border with Harris County, where apparently he sees us as an enemy country. So if you're in Montgomery County and you've called the sheriff and the deputy hasn't come, that's because they're waiting, I guess, for the bus to come and drop off the criminals. But it certainly gives you a mindset of what they think. They think we're another country. We're aliens ourselves. We're not fellow Texans. We're aliens ourselves, and that's an enemy border he needs to police, and that certainly gets to the mindset.
You know, it is sad. What is so sad is we use so much of our tax dollars. We use so much of dollars that could be used to do positive things for society, for items that are based on lies. And the thing about it is, people think, well, it's just the hate that's doing it. No, it's making somebody a whole bunch of money.
It sure is.
You know, whenever it's like what I explained with immigration, we have Brian and Bart going through the roof about immigration. Okay, they are so pissed at all these people coming over the border. They are so upset of these things, not realizing that, look, there's a shadow economy, and believe it or not, that shadow economy is helping him. And also, what he doesn't realize is all of those who are profiting from getting him upset about a shadow economy that the same people that are getting him upset are dependent on. Ask the meat packers in North and South Dakota that depend on that labor, that have a labor shortage, that none of these folks out there want to do the job. And ask him if he's willing to pay the extra price for meat when that comes in short supply. Ask for all the peaches that were left on the ground in Georgia, because Georgia and Florida had these laws that were anti-immigrant, and when the immigrants heard that, they ran out of Dodge. Ask about all those those communities that are building homes in Florida for all the older folk that are moving to Florida, and the expense of the building prices going up because they can't find workers because they're heading out of Dodge out of Florida. These things, when people make bad decisions, it has a material effect not only on those who made the bad decision of doing things like electing a Donald Trump, it actually affects all of us. That's why I talk about the MAGA folks being my brothers and sisters as well. I need them. I need them to do the right thing, because their bad decisions don't only affect them. In fact, it affects them more, yes, but it also affects you and me, Neil.
Right. It's difficult. It's hard. I do have the feeling that the right will never let us live decent lives. I think as I get older and I just think of the time wasted dealing with false arguments, it really makes me sad, to be honest with you. And I do not. People can have whatever viewpoint they have on immigration, but it seems to cloud their mindset of how much we're being ripped off. We are handing this country over to billionaires who, believe they're eugenically better than us. They're talking about IQ, they intend some really horrible stuff for us.
Well, it is funny because if it's funny that any of them would speak about IQ, given that it doesn't, what they believe doesn't speak well for that IQ level, right? I mean, if you can believe that somehow lasers are coming, I mean,
right,
QAnon and all these different kinds of, my God, we have to do something about it, and that's why we're here, folks. Anyway, we're coming close to the end of the program, and I want you to have a closer. So before you get a closer, let's go to the studio with Brother Howard and Jack.
Oh, okay. Well, Jack and I were just talking about the weather forecast for the day. Looks like we're going to have a pretty decent day for the weather forecast, and I've got it right here in front of me. a couple of clicks. 32 right now. Today's high, 52. So all the snow is going to melt. There is still snow on the ground, folks. I saw it this morning. So that's pretty crazy. Jack, what you got, man?
Well, there are still slick spots out there on the highways.
He says there's some still slick spots out there on the highway. So
Yeah,
do
there's
be
some.
careful if you're going to be out and about. That's
Yeah,
it for us. Roberto, and
thank you, my
got,
brother. 2
you got about
minutes.
2.5 more minutes left. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Neil, close her out for me. Let's ask, what do we want the district attorney to do again?
So we want District Attorney Sean Tier, and for those of you who are happy, you know, we're glad he's there and replaced the previous one. But Sean Tier needs to drop, his office needs to drop charges against Sarah Terrell. And you can go, who was arrested at the HISD meeting for telling the truth to that usurper undemocratic board. You can go to community engagement at dao.hctx.net or the Harris County DA website, which is actually a little bit difficult to navigate as I'm doing it. But or you can look up the phone number of the Harris County District Attorney's Office. I apologize for not having it in front of me, but you can go to Harris County, community engagement at deo.hctx.net. Ask that Sarah Terrell be not charged. Her court date is tomorrow. If we do not stand up for each other and show elected officials that we will fight for each other, we're in a world of hurt. We have to look out for each other for what's ahead.
Absolutely so. Absolutely so. Neil, tell us a little bit about your project.
The Houston Democracy Project. So HoustonDemocracyProject.com. There's a daily blog. I speak at Democratic clubs or any club. I'm on this program, which is a huge part, and I'm deeply appreciative. I speak at City Hall. I have numerous one-on-one conversations with elected officials, candidates, and rank-and-file democracy advocates. We must show up for ourselves. The work of freedom is up to us, and we cannot count on any elected official on any side in these fights ahead. We must have each other's back. HoustonDemocracyProject.com. I ask you to go to the blog, check it out, help us out. And I'm appreciative of this time.
I liked what Tom Hartman always ends his show. He always said, tag it's on you. And it's really true. Tag it's on you. Anyway, folks, love you all. See the rest of the program at politicsandright.com/newsletter, politicsandright.com/newsletter. Thank you so kindly. Love all the callers. Love all the listeners. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government buy-in for the people. While President Donald Trump's January 6 pardons and executive orders have dominated the news, state legislatures have been hard at work on both pro-voter and